Woohoo! Maybe we're here? I don't know yet. Oh, did I already go live? Cool. I tried real hard to make it on time. But I was testing a lot of stuff. I think we're good. I don't know yet. We're gonna figure it out. How's everyone doing? It's been too long, and I'm excited that we're back and talking about HHN. Let me try and figure out what's going on with my life, because it's been 20 and a half years since I've done this. Also, please tell me if I'm too quiet. I promise live streams are not going to be this painful in the future. Can you hear me all right? Oh, she left me. How's everyone doing? Woo! Where is my... Honey, where is my super suit? Well, somebody can see me. That's a good sign. Let me... Boop, 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 boop. Boop. I do not... Okay, I think everything's working as far as I can tell. You know? If it's not, well, we're gonna figure it out later. Ooh, we already got some chatters. I love it. Welcome, welcome, everyone. All right, I'm so excited. Let's go. Let's turn on some background music, maybe, while we vibe and get set up. Oops. Let's put on some HHN B-roll while everyone folds in, and then, you know, let's talk about some HHN speculation. I know it's been a minute, guys. I promise I've been working on stuff. Countdown is well underway. I've been getting up at 6 a.m. to get that done every single day, to edit before work and after work. As you can see, my stream background is incomplete because I have all of that stuff set up for the new countdown set. So you guys get to deal with just some plain camo netting for now, and I can't figure out how to center myself in frame. So how's everyone doing? What are we excited for about HHN this year? I have a few theories that I haven't heard anywhere else, so I'm kind of very excited to talk about those later on. And I also had one really great theory that absolutely blew my mind with how incredible it was, and then I fell asleep, and I do not remember what it was in the slightest. So we'll also cover that when we get to it. Let's see here. Let me answer all these questions before we dive into it. I love it. When do you think we're going to get an announcement, or at least the tickets? I would say probably June. I want to say next month in May, but considering Epic Universe is opening at the end of May, I don't think we're going to see much HHN stuff until summer, because they're going to want the hype surrounding that to blow over. So that way, once everyone dies down from the opening weeks of Epic, then they can say, hey, now it's HHN. And maybe they can coincide with more HHN Vegas announcements that way as well. I don't know if there's going to be any synergy between the two, but, excuse me. But I would say probably June is when we're going to see our next announcement, or any type of announcement. Excuse me. Colby, we'll get to the hourglass. I would really hope The Conjuring comes too. Hey, Josh, you made it. I'm glad to see you. What's up? Skull and Spooky, welcome, welcome. Hi, Mom. Hi, Colby again. Fallout is going to be amazing. Yes. Dollhouse of the Damned sequel? Oh, don't tempt me. That would be incredible. All right, so let's see here. I guess before we get into this spec map, so graciously provided by HHN Nightmares to keep the speculation going for all of us each season, so thank you, thank you. The one comment I did see a lot of people ask is, do I think there's going to be an icon this year? And I don't really know. Speculation's kind of hard to talk about because there's so much out there, and there's so much, you know, that people don't know. There's so many unknowns, and there's so many ifs, ands, or buts, which we'll kind of talk about how some of these clues may tie into each other. But I would say that, again, kind of going off of the Epic Universe opening this year, I'd say I would bet on some type of icon or some type of big return, because again, we are, in theory, I would assume that Universal is going to try and draw as many people to HHN as they can with Epic opening. Epic is very much a nighttime park. I'm glad to know that my speaking ability has not improved since last time we streamed. But Epic is very much a nighttime park. I was very lucky to go there. Got my Burning Blade hat as well. But I would imagine HHN is going to want something big to draw people out of there, because a lot of people are going to be going to Epic. So having an icon, having a big cohesive theme, I feel like that's one of the best ways to do that. Also, I feel like I'm not lit well. That might be a little bit better. So what do y'all think? Y'all think there's a possibility for an icon this year or not? Let me know. I certainly think that Dr. Oddfellow and HHN 32 is one of the strongest in a hot minute. Especially reworking on the countdown. Like, they really tied everything together, like, real solid that year. So I really hope we see a little more cohesiveness in the theme, and not just kind of a bunch of ideas that all exist next to each other. Yes, Josh, I agree. I hope it's not a halfway thing where Sinister and Surreal are just kind of there, and then I guess they kind of fit into Torture Fair and Demon Queens, but, like, not really, I don't know. Yeah, I agree, Rob. You'd want people to do one day at Epic and stay another night for HHN. Yeah, I think they're going to have to do as much as possible to try and draw the crowds in. And Colby, you make a good point as well. I don't think we're going to see any major type of icon, like an anniversary type thing, because it is HHN 35 next year. Even though technically, had COVID not been a stupid poopy butthole, we would have everything this year as an anniversary year. But I would say maybe this year leads into next year? I don't know. But there is one, actually we'll talk about that later, because I want to get into this and I don't want to bore everyone here too much. So let's just jump right into it. First off, we're just gonna go counterclockwise, because that's what's easiest for me. We'll start at Soundstage 23 with these sales. And how do I want to phrase this? First off, I would very much love if this was First Voyage of Demeter. Like, that would be incredible. Dead Man's Pier Winter Wake, maybe. But another thing to consider is that HHN hasn't really ever done a true, like, pirate type haunt. At least that I can recall. I mean, you know, you had the Forsaken back in 2011, which was incredible and Bay, but that was a Spanish fort and not so much the, you know, swashbuckling that a lot of people may, immediately connect it with. And a lot of people, if you look on the other side of the map, you're also going to see, geez, I keep burping, I'm sorry, everyone. We got Hatchet and Chains theoretically over there in Tent 1, because it looks very, very much like the poster from Slaughter Cinema 2. See if I can pull it up real quick. I had like 19,000 things pulled up, and then I closed half of them on accident. But I mean, come on, you can't tell me this doesn't look like Hatchet and Chains, eye patch, Chains, eye patch. But anyways, those two kind of coinciding, pirate aesthetics and Western aesthetics, I feel like can very easily get mixed up. Because again, speculation, it's a lot of, I heard this, I saw that, and not necessarily anything concrete. And, you know, if we were to look over at some past houses, like Ghost Town, you know, also looks very similar to, oops, I went to the wrong one, Dead Man's Pier. At least from a scenic standpoint, you know, I could very easily see how in the early stages of construction, or without show lighting, or just upon a quick glance, that you could kind of confuse these, well, I wouldn't say confuse necessarily, you could tie these nautical concepts and Western concepts could kind of be either or. Also, dig the Sonic pants. But I mean, you're gonna have a lot of the same type of basic sets, you know, burlap everywhere, crates, all that type of jazz. So I'm curious to see which one this actually ends up being. For what it's worth, I would maybe put a little bit more money on pirates. Like I said, we have the Forsaken. We haven't had a true swashbuckling pirate adventure haunt, and I would really like to see HHN try and tackle something like that. So I guess only time will tell. But what do y'all think? Oh, that's a good point, Colby. Vikings Undead I also have heard and saw, which would be interesting because I feel, you know, how different can they do a Vikings house from the section in museum last year, which they very easily probably could. But, you know, if I were to, I guess a sale kind of makes me think immediately of that scene if we're talking about Vikings. So that would be very cool to see if they do that. Yes.
What if the boat is like a
Mermaids?
Well, yes, but, or a sequel to Columbus's ship house that had the tilted floor.
The Forsaken?
That one.
Yes, I would be very glad if it was a sequel to The Forsaken.
What I'm it is.
Or Vikings Undead plus The Forsaken. I don't know. All I'm going to say, let me pull this up real quick. All I'm going to say is if we are going to be getting a, what's it called? If we are going to be getting something that's in the same vein as The Forsaken, we better get a scene that is as beautiful as this one. I don't even know if I have a picture of it saved anywhere. I cannot even get this courtyard like on screen because it's so big. LOL. This is about the best I can get. But like this giant. Oh. What did you do?
I did. Your chat bot deleted Spooky's message.
I'll figure it out. Massive courtyard scene. Oh, I would be so happy. Yes, Wind Waker. You're right. You're right, Klondike 64. Got him. Wind Waker this year, Castlevania next year, Luigi's Mansion the year after that. I'm totally down for it. Josh, someone's theory that it's a port of entry house. I mean, that would be pretty cool too. Me and Amanda went to Epic a week and a half ago, and we also stopped by IOA while we were there, and we actually had like an in-depth conversation about how cool Port of Entry was, but how it feels so underutilized. Like the scenic is so awesome and the ideas are there, but it just feels kind of like a facade for your generic theme park entry stuff. So if there's any way we could see any type of design like that in HHN or just not there, oh, I'd be so excited. All right, I think that's enough about Vikings and sales and whatnot, and we'll see how it goes. Skull and Spooky, there's not much videos of The Forsaken, unfortunately. 2011, my favorite year, has like no media anywhere, so I'm cranky about it, but I will see if I can pull something up here in a little bit. Esther, we keep talking because I don't want to bore everyone with my mindless prattering. But anyways, thumbs up next for Soundstage 20 whatever. I think we all know this is going to be Fallout. At least if we are going by the clue that this map has provided us, definitely Fallout. You know, I'd much rather see Fallout. I'd much rather see Fallout fail as an IP than see The Last of Us come back again. And that's not to dunk on The Last of Us for any reason. I just feel like Fallout has potential to add to the scenic design. You know, Fallout can do that weird, funky, post-apocalyptic-y kind of steampunk, kind of technological stuff on top of the post-apocalyptic wasteland, Walking Dead, Last of Us, Descendants of Destruction, Seeds of Extinction, yada yada yada. We've seen that type of aesthetic dozens of times before, and I feel like Fallout can advance on that, and that's what I would like to see. Yeah, exactly. A mid-Fallout house is still a Fallout house. A mid-Fallout house is still better than half of the IPs that HHN has given us over the years, so I will certainly take it. You know, another thing to consider is, how did Zyborgs look last year in Slaughter Cinema 2? I need to stop hitting my webcam with my chair. But you know, as much as I would like to see a full-fledged Zyborgs haunt, I feel like the aesthetics of that could very easily translate into something Fallout-y. And I will admit, before everyone starts to jump on me, that I did not finish the series and I have not played much of the games. I promise I have tried very hard, but when I was like 14 or 15, I remember when Fallout 3 came out, but I started playing Fallout 3 when it came out, and I didn't understand the concept of like RPG, whatever you want to call it, so I just wanted to beat up the like rude commander person in the vault who was being a jerk, but I accidentally killed him, and then I felt bad, and then I just stopped playing. So anyways, that's my experience with Fallout. Let's see here. But, you know, also a fun fact that glowing dummy is tinfoil from the end of Case Files and HHN 30, nerdy fact of the day. But, you know, for as far as Fallout goes, these types of aesthetics I can definitely see. And there's another haunt that I really hope to see them in as well if we don't actually get to see the cyborgs come back in full effect. But I really hope we do, because I love them. Oh yeah, good catch, Skull and Spooky. I forgot about this as the end. I kind of forgot about a lot of the 3D haunts that Hollywood did way back in the day. Like, they were not that great. But if we do get Stranger Things, I would be excited, but I don't know if we're gonna get any more Stranger Things. We've already seen the first 4 seasons. I don't think they're going to do anything with 5 unless the seasons are already out, and I can't really see them doing a retcon type thing like they did with The Walking Dead and doing like a greatest hits. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. All right, thanks for stopping by, Josh. Have fun. I'll see you later. I appreciate you coming out. But yeah, I think Fallout has tons of potential, and I'm hoping to see that explored more at HHN. Nick, if you saw power armor in an HHN house, I can literally hear the like, "Let's go!" in my head right now. But I mean, I'd be doing the same. All right, let's move on. Badoop badoop to the film strip. So remember earlier when I said I had a great idea and theory, and I was so proud of myself, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and then I fell asleep? That's literally what I had for this film strip. I don't know what it could be. You know, the emo little metalcore kid in me would love to see something like an Ice Nine Kills house, or some type of meta slasher that isn't just Scream, but I don't have too much on this one. Let me know in the comments or in chat if you guys have much or have any ideas for this one, but I don't have too much to say, unfortunately. I spilled water on my face. I know some people have said that they think this is leading to Scream, but I don't think that's leading to Scream, and I'm gonna get to that in here in just a couple of haunts. I'm gonna keep you waiting for that one. Yeah, well, I feel like we'll eventually get Stranger Things back. And if we get Stranger Things back next year, it will probably be the best of them all. Or the worst. We'll see. Yeah, film reel IP, there's so many things that it could be. It's such a vague descriptor that I'm not gonna... I don't know. There's too many things. But what I am excited for is this demon, whatever you want to call it, in the top left for Soundstage 24. There's 2 Hollywood things that this reminds me of. Now, assuming that Orlando continues stealing ideas, I mean, reusing ideas from Hollywood like they did with Monstros last year, there's not many original ideas that I can see making their way from Hollywood to Orlando that haven't been done a lot yet. I also didn't really see, I don't know if this one is on Hollywood Spec Map or not. I'll be honest, I did not compare these as much as I wanted to because I was working on videos and everything. What?
Which one?
Top left, Demon Wing Cityscape.
I don't think it was.
But the 2 things that Hollywood has done that this reminds me of are Urban Inferno and last year's The Weekend Haunt. I had this pulled up, but I closed out of it because I'm really good at doing that, apparently. But for those of you who did not go to HHN Hollywood last year, I think that their version of The Weekend House, whatever it was called, The Weekend 2.0 Electric Boogaloo or whatever. Oh wait, I made that one. Was a vast improvement on the first Weekend Haunt from both coasts. Which is not something I thought I would be able to say, but here we are. Come on, I know I have video of it somewhere. Why do I do this to myself? It's a good thing Josh isn't here right now, because otherwise he would be like yelling at me for not having organized all of my B-roll yet, despite all of the time that I've had to do it. All right, well, we're just gonna cry and do this instead. So I'm gonna pull up Skull and Spooky. I'm gonna pull up the facade for the Weekend's haunt last year in Hollywood. Oh, hi Pixie. Welcome to the club. But I want to pull this up so that way you guys can kind of draw your own conclusions, whether you guys think these symbols are similar or not. Because to me, you know, I see the giant cityscape, and a big, I don't know if I could say theme, but you can kind of see in the left there, it said Purgatory right over there. Oh, I forgot my mouse isn't on screen. But this, I only did it twice. I'm not a Weekend follower, so I don't know all of the lore and all of that stuff. But the haunt was very much about, you know, death and rebirth and the Weekend killing himself to create a new and better version or something like that with these cool, weird puppets. Hi, Pixie. You want to say hi to everyone?
You blend in, Pixie.
Yeah, she does. Okay, bye, Pixie. Thanks for stopping by. See you later. So yeah, he goes bleh, and then weird baby Weekend, he's reborn. It's a really cool haunt. Like, I very much enjoyed it, but when I see, you know, that logo that has, you know, angel wings, death, scythes, big urban background, that's where my mind goes to. And does Hollywood need to do it again if Orlando does it? Not necessarily. But the other thing that would be really cool is Urban Inferno. And I don't know if anyone has ever been to Hollywood before, or if you've been with their weird old scare zones that they used to do. But Urban Inferno was a scare zone that they did on the lower lot in the Metro sets. I don't remember how many years ago, but it was kind of like the cross between a scare zone and a maze. So this is kind of the lights on look at it, and you guys can tell me if this is a little more accurate. But as much as I enjoyed these scare zones, they very much felt like a bunch of stock props. Kind of felt like John Murdy went to the warehouse in Spirit Halloween and just put up a bunch of fences and put in whatever props and actors he could find, which isn't necessarily a complaint, because like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed Urban Inferno, but this is exactly what I envision when I see that logo. So if this concept were to be able to if this concept were to be brought to Orlando, where it could be potentially in a soundstage or a tent, or let's be honest, the only venue that can't really have a massive show-stopping area, room, whatever, is Fast and Furious. The new tents are huge. Sprung 1 and 2 and have had some incredible 2-story sets over the years. Then obviously sound stages are massive. So I would love to be able to actually see a full urban city hellscape. It'd be sweet. I'm really banking on this one, or I'm really hoping that's what it is. All right. Bye-bye. Now to our spyglass. So as much as my heart wants this to be Legendary Truth, I don't know if it is Legendary Truth. Sky isn't here in the chat, but Sky brought this up a couple months, or I think when the Spec Map dropped, they brought this up in Discord, but Scream obviously has been rumored for this year. Killer of Scream is Ghostface, and the distributor of the Scream films is Spyglass Entertainment. So maybe that's our hint there. Of course, you know, they could be interpreted in multiple ways as well. Investigating a ghost, which could bring to The Conjuring or any other number of Blumhouse things. Or, again, could be Case Files 2.0, Electric Boogaloo. Yes, I'm going to use that joke as much as I possibly can. But again, if we are going strictly off of the clues that this map is saying, I think this clue leads to Scream. And that's that, at least in my mind. Let's see, what else do I have for that? Again, I would be happy to see it be Legendary Truth, but I don't know if it necessarily is, because again, I feel like a Legendary Truth haunt might work a little bit better as an anniversary year. Because if I recall, Wyandotte Estate was in 20th anniversary, and Case Files was the 30th anniversary. We'll see. Hi, Pixie. Welcome back. But speaking of Legendary Truth, there is one very, very, very cool detail that I want to show you guys that pertains to a casting call that you may or may not have seen that was allowed, or recently posted for characters at HHN. Let's see if I can find it. Doop. I need, Pixie, I need you to do like a little jig in the background while I'm doing this stuff.
That would be very entertaining.
Boop, 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 boop. But segueing off of Legendary Truth for a moment, hi. Submissions for roller skaters for HHN Orlando have been made available, whatever you want to call it. And very obviously that could be something for the Mel's Drive-In show. There is an unknown show theoretically over by Mel's Drive-In, and roller skates would very much fit with the Vamp aesthetic that we've seen in, what was it, Vamp 55, Vamp 85, and Vamp 69. I can't remember the years. But expanding entertainment to options like that would certainly be something. But the other thing to remember too would be guest flow. So if there's a giant show by Mel's, even though HHN used to do it back in the day, you can't get around that with the massive crowds that they have now. So very much if you were not in that show, there's not going to be enough traffic to be able to squeeze between Mel's, which means you got to go all the way to the front and all the way to the back to be able to make it around. Which doesn't necessarily mean that it's a no-go, but I don't know how big of an entertainment option that could potentially be. I don't know how viable it is. And you might be saying, whoa, 6 billion, why are you talking about shows? Why are you talking about that? We were talking about Legendary Truth, not Vamp and old stuff. Well, one of my favorite haunts, Legendary Truth, the Wyandotte Estate. I don't know if I'll be able to, wait, let me see if I can scroll in on this before I pull it up. I don't know if it'll let me. That's too much work. Anyways, we're just gonna YOLO it. But Legendary Truth, the Wyandotte Estate in 2010 was a typical haunted house, or it was the epitome of a haunted house. Ghosts haunting a Victorian mansion. And if you look on the bottom right corner, that character who kind of has the backwards head mask on the green, you might notice something like roller skates. And that's because that scene was, or that's because those actors wore roller skates to emulate being a ghost, emulate floating and traveling like that. And honestly, I would love to see that come back. Let me see if I can find, hi Pixie, bye Pixie, the scary clip. But because this scene actually was brought back in Welcome to Scary in 20-something. So this is the scene where these roller skates were, or it will be in a second. But instead of these ghosts popping out of these little nooks and crannies like they are right now, they had an actor who was on those roller skates, and they would just skate on by the opening, so it looked like a ghost was whooshing by. Obviously, old haunts don't have as much media as new haunts, so I can't really necessarily find more examples of that. But I'm low-key hoping that the roller skates are for ghost scares and not for solely entertainment options. Because again, HHN crowds are nuts. I don't know if we could do a big roller skate show in the streets without people being complete jerks and or having to shut off massive areas of the park, or both. So we'll have to see. Spooky Island Haunt? Oh, I mean, I wish, man. I wish we got a Spooky Island Haunt. I just don't know if it's ever gonna happen. It's one of those, I don't want to get myself, I don't want to dream, because then I'm going to be let down when it never comes to fruition. Skull and Spooky, we are segueing between magnifying glass and security camera. I had one other thing I was gonna segue into before I did that, but I can't remember. I don't remember. Anyways, let's just talk about security cameras. Maybe it's FNAF, maybe it's not. I don't know. I was thinking before the stream, you know, maybe this is some type of original idea slash semi IP that's like Squid Game or Saw, you know, something like Deadly Games where some game master is always watching. But from the way the permits have fallen and from just the fact that the Fast and Furious has a incredible brick facade that would work very well as a pizza restaurant, I'm starting to wonder if Fast and Furious or if Five Nights at Freddy's is finally going to make it to HHN in the Fast and Furious location, because I can see them using the exterior facade portion as the actual facade for the haunt. I can see them dressing that up very well and making it a more seamless transition that we've seen. But, you know, I guess time will tell. Again, I don't have too much for these. I don't have too much for the next few because originals and or IPs that we all know. I didn't put much thought into the next one, the little winter book that we've got over here. Everything is connected to HHN 21 apparently, because I would love for it to be something akin to Graveyard Games or Winter's Night. But I don't know. Are there any types of gothic story tales or fairy tales that we can think of, or storybooks that take place in the winter? I, for one, wouldn't be against something like Scary Tales. I didn't get it out in time because I was me, and that's my personality trait. But before Snow White was released, I was planning on having a category for that HHN trivia episode that was about Scary Tales at HHN and including a Snow White clue / question. So I'd be very curious to see if HHN kind of jumps on the train of skewering these live action remakes, or if it's just coincidental timing of having, you know, a Scary Tales haunt that's brought back, but maybe focusing a little bit more on the Frozen aspects, or not just feeling like a simple mashup, because I didn't do 2008's, but 2018's took place in the Wicked Witch's castle, and it was kind of jumping all over the place. And I would love if we had just one that was just a cohesive theme. But I'm also a simp for anything that involves snow, so, like, I'm there for it. Colby, how will they get the suits in there for Fast and Furious? That's a great question. That's something that I have faith the designers could find a way to do. Whether or not it actually involves animatronics, whether it's bulky costumes, whether it's just static props or lighting or effects, I don't know. But even though it might not seem like it would work, I think the team can make it. I mean, Major Suites was my favorite haunt last year, and it was essentially one big long hallway, and nobody thought it was going to be good, and a lot of people loved it, and it had a lot of cool vignettes. So I have faith in what the designers do, as long as it's not as bad as Stranger Things 4. Nightmare Fuel's probably coming back. We already know that. But moving on down to these garbage bags, I think this one might actually be Terrifier. You know, I've been staunchly against Terrifier, or against the idea of Terrifier coming. I wouldn't mind if it made an appearance, but I can't see HHN, at least Orlando, doing it justice to the actual movies and not just being a watered-down version or a commercialized version for the Orlando audience. Hollywood could get away with something a little bit more gory and weird and Hollywoody, but I don't know if Orlando would do it. But we got Christmas sacks or garbage bags, which was it Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 with the infamous Garbage Day line that took place on Christmas, like Terrifier 3. That's all I can think of for this one. I just keep hearing Garbage Day in my head. Will Johnson, welcome. Thanks for stopping by for a little bit. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all stopping by and supporting me. Like I said, I know it's been a minute. Lots of stuff is coming later this year, but I don't want to do what I did last year and say, I'm going to have this out by X, Y, and Z, and then not have it done, and then spiral. So there's a lot of things in the works, and when I feel everything is ready, I will share everything with you. But until then, we're just going to keep trucking along and doing the best that we can. And I'm going to hopefully start streaming more, because as I was setting this up, I was like, man, I really miss doing this. I got to do this more often. I got to get back in the schedule. But anyways, surprise, I went on a tangent. Who would have ever guessed that? I don't remember 2017 Saw being that gory. I remember it being very green and sickly, but there wasn't too much gore from what I can recall. The bathroom scene was stroby and had some blood, but for the most part it was just, you know, people in fake looking contraptions that didn't work too well. Now I guess we're going to get to, since we've already kind of talked about Hatchet and Chains, I guess we're going to get to my quote-unquote favorite clue. So, this is the one that, I don't know if I would say I put the most thought into, but I was very proud of myself for making that connection. Whether it ends up being complete BS and I'm so wrong or not, I was proud of myself for coming up with this. So, we've got this little cutesy robot, whatever, which could fall in with a bunch of things that we've seen already. It could be semi-reference to Fallout, could be cyborgs, could be a diving suit for BioShock, which, don't get my hopes up for that. But the other, shut up. I see you over there. But the other thing is the Atomic Monster logo, which is James Wan's production company, has a very similar sense of construction without being an exact copy and paste. And we haven't talked about Blumhouse much yet. Atomic Monster is producing Megan 2, which comes out in June. So this very well could be a clue leading to that. James Wan also Conjuring universe. This could also point to any of those, or any of the movies within that franchise as well, if this is what the route, or if that's what the clue is going for. But what I first thought when I saw this is I said, aw, Baymax looks so cute. But what was Baymax? What was his function as a robot? Their function as a robot? More or less, Baymax was a nurse. What other famous types of nurses have been speculated to be returning to HHN? Specifically Hollywood, but also murmurs that they could be returning to Orlando over the last couple of years. Nightingales!
Oh. I tried.
You tried. So, that's, again, this was me falling asleep, but, you know, maybe this robot's pointing us towards a robot nurse, and maybe we finally get Nightingales back. Maybe we get Nightingale's future. Maybe this is like Cyborgs plus Nightingales, which would be the best thing I ever saw in my life. But, I don't know. Those are the parallels I drew. You guys can tell me in the comments or in chat if you guys think I'm full of it, because I probably am, but I'm having fun, and that's what's important. Stop laughing. Another thing that has been mentioned very recently is that over in Hollywood, the new facades that are popping up in one of the lots or whatever looks very similar to the construction of Poltergeist from 2018. Where is this 365 tweet? There it is. So again, you guys can take a look and decide for yourselves whether you think this is a thing or not. But what I will say is, if Hollywood is getting Poltergeist, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's coming back to Orlando. Hollywood repeats IPs all the time, and Orlando is very stingy with the way that they want to do things. Ooh, Allison, I like that. OG Invisible Man house would be awesome. Yes, actually, let's do that. We're selling that. We're putting that on there. I'm going with that theory because I like it. But back to Poltergeist and my roller skate legendary truth ghost scares. I don't think it would necessarily come back in Orlando. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what IP Hollywood did recently that Orlando passed on. I think it was The Weeknd, actually. I I think I remember reading that Hollywood was presented to do the second weekend haunt. And Orlando was also presented that opportunity, but Orlando was like, we kind of want to do something different. And that was that. No drama, just kind of a we don't necessarily want to do this IP, we want to do some other stuff. And I think if push comes to shove and Poltergeist is brought up as a suggestion, I think Orlando does that again. I think they say, you can have that, Hollywood. I don't think they're going to do it again. The only time Orlando has ever, like, near directly brought back a haunted house was for American Werewolf in 2015, which admittedly was in a lot of people's top haunts, and Poltergeist is almost everyone's favorite IP from the last 10 years maybe, from what I've heard. So I guess it does kind of match there, but I can't see Orlando trying to do something that they've already done in the exact same way. You know, the where's the video that I had? We already kind of saw HHN do a little bit of an original version of that as well when they brought it for 2018, because we got to quote unquote go into the light and experience that part of the story, which was never actually explicitly shown in the film itself. So in my mind, we've already seen Orlando's kind of creative interpretation of what to do with Poltergeist besides doing a book report. And unless we're going on, you know, something that's completely in the quote-unquote further, or we're doing something else that isn't just reskinning the same story beats, I'm not necessarily sure that I can see Poltergeist coming back to Orlando. As much as I liked it, it's fun, I love this scene, I just don't know. But that's me, 6 Billiam, your friendly neighborhood cynic. Anyways, I think for the most part, as far as Spec goes, that's all I've got. You know, I want to plan more streams and do more fun stuff with y'all. Do I have any other... I don't really have any other notes or any other things that I was going to talk about, so if y'all want to chat about anything before we sign off here, go ahead and put it in chat. I would love to see Evil Dead come back, Colby, 100%. Yes, that was an exclusive. Technically, from what it sounds like, Orlando was supposed to have it, but it got axed for Hellblock Horror, but who knows. And then they probably just didn't return or want to revisit that idea. But Skull and Spooky eye patch symbol, I'm thinking, is Hatchet and Chains, or at least the clue is Hatchet and Chains. Whether Hatchet or Chains is actually happening, I'm not entirely sure. But I think it's gotta be some pointing to some type of either Western, or, now that I think about it, are there any popular tag team killers or villains that we can think of off the top of our heads? Because Hatchet and Chains would be a great way to throw off everyone thinking that it was that, when it's actually talking about a duel of similar vigilantes, killers, villains, whatever you want to call it. So don't know if I can think of any off the top of my head that would be IP or HHN related, but within the next couple of weeks, as we start to learn more about HHN, we'll definitely be tuning back in for more streams, and hopefully I'll have more contact for you. I really hope it's not Freddy versus Jason. The other thing is Warner Brothers, I think, still has the rights to... Warner Brothers, I believe, still has the rights to whatever we were just talking about, because my brain is not working. Freddy versus Jason. So I'm not sure if that would be possible. But they also have the rights to The Conjuring, which is also kind of split between James Wan and Blumhouse. So maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but I don't know. There's a lot of possible ideas. And yeah, I wish they would release tickets already. I agree, Colby. I just want something, just a little teaser. But I think we're focusing on the hype for Hollywood's Fan Nights, which starts next week, question mark. You've got Epic Universe opening and doing previews in Orlando. And then you've got HHN Vegas periodically doing teasers to lead up to the opening of that in August, which I will be at. I'm very excited for it. So I think HHN Orlando is kind of the last thing on their mind right now as far as promoting. Because again, HHN Orlando promotes itself. FanFest Nights is something brand new that people have no idea about. Epic Universe is how Universal Orlando is going to pay their employees for the next 500 years. And HHN Vegas is an experiment that very could easily fail, but I'm hoping it doesn't. So I think the focus of marketing and pushing the focus on those properties and those ideas is going to be in the best strategic interest of the company, whether we as fans / consumers like it or not. So I would say, you know, June is probably when we're going to see tickets, shirts, teasers released. If I remember correctly, weren't all of the original haunts last year revealed at like the end of May or something, middle of May? Oh no, I can't remember. See if I can Google it real quick. I'm also tripped up that COVID messed us a year, so I keep thinking it was 2023 last year and it was 33, and now the numbers are all messed up and anyways, let's see. What are these dated on? Or what are these dated at? 47 weeks ago. So, yeah. End of May, give or take. Krampus original. Oh, here, let me go through all these real quick. Skull and Spooky. You're wrong. Zyborgs was the best part of Slaughter Cinema too, but I respect your opinion. Japanese Folklore, original Krampus, both 10 out of 10 ideas that I would love to see Universal do. Hot take, but I think Krampus in 2016 was one of the best IPs they've ever done, so if they can be unchained and do something more original with it, and not have to do it in the Shrek queue where they gotta make a weird footprint, I think it's a home run. Any wish list IPs for a possible Lagoon show? I honestly don't know. I'm gonna think on that over the next couple of weeks, and then when we do another stream, beginning of May, mid-May, depending on how things go, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that kind of stuff. Because I was trying to look at work today, I was trying to look at movies that were coming out that might be connected or might be featured at HHN or at least had the potential. The one I came up with was Sinners, which is coming out tomorrow, today, whatever, which basically seems like a combination of like vampires plus The Darkest Deal plus Blood Moon, and if that were to come to HHN, that would be super awesome. But it's also similar to things we've just done. Also, we might be getting a special delivery from Nixie Pixie Bear because I hear her screaming down the stairs. Yeah, and if we do have Fallout, Terrifier, FNAF, and Scream, depends on how many big IPs we're going to get. You know, the other thing to kind of think about is Scream is not in the best light right now. With all the drama surrounding Scream 6, Scream 7's firing, Scream 7 getting rewritten, casting, Neve Campbell, all that's can of worms I'm not going to open now. Scream is not seen in a favorable light by a lot of people. So selling out and finally renegotiating HHN rights to be able to use it wouldn't necessarily be the worst idea for this point in time. Be a good way for people to remember how much they love Scream. When the movie comes out in February next year, you know, HHN will still be relatively fresh in everyone's minds. And if I remember correctly, the Weinsteins were still with Spyglass or whatever, Dimension, whoever it was, the last time Scream was supposed to be featured, and they no longer are. And I believe they were the ones who made the executive decision not to feature it because of the disagreements over the mask. So I feel like if there was ever a time for Scream, now is the best time for it. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I agree with those critiques, Spooky. The IPs weren't the biggest, but they were enough to draw people in, which I think is what matters. I think last year was also maybe just a teensy bit of a budget year because Epic Universe saving as many resources as they can. But I don't think the event was any worse for it. I would love to see Mothman and Loch Ness Monster. Any type of cryptid house. Oh, that'd be so good. Yeah, that's a good point, Colby. Until Dawn next year. Yeah, I could see it. Maybe, could Until Dawn be our film strip this year? Maybe that's what that is. Who knows? I don't remember. Is this? It's not Blumhouse, is it? No, it's by Sony. So, yeah, there's maybe hope. Okay, I've talked a lot. I don't have many more notes. We're gonna do our customary goodbye with the scaredy cats because I have to, or I want to get more work on videos done. So that way we can get back to streaming more often. I won't be always trying to catch up, but I had a lot of fun for all of you, with all of y'all coming in. I know I talk a lot. I promise we'll find ways to make this more fun so it's not just me yabbering away. But, you know, for having to pretty much reinstall and reset up all of my streaming stuff a couple of hours before I started this, I think everything went pretty well. I don't think anything broke or exploded, which I was fully expecting. I even almost started on time, but I just couldn't find the button to go live because I'm that type of person. So, I think that's about all I got. Let me go get some scaredy cats for y'all so we can say a proper goodbye. And then stay tuned for more stuff coming in the next couple of months, give or take. All right, who's up here?
Pixie was, but I don't know where she went.
Where are the children? Your job is to go get the children. Oh, I found a Cohen.
Okay.
I don't know.
Kelly!
Apologize in advance because my room is messy and I very much know it is. Don't at me. See if I can,
Do you want to put yourself up on the big screen?
That's what I'm doing. Okay, where is it? That's my leg. I'm not coordinated enough to... There we go. You can see Cohen's little butt sticking out from under the green screen. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about you, butt boy.
Oh, I can't... It's the small box, so...
I changed it over after you said that. Coe, you want to say bye? No, he's asleep. You can see his front posies right there, dangling out. Homeboy is zonked out. Living the life. Yeah, I have the green screen over our window up here, and homie definitely loves to climb up my green screen while I'm trying to film so he can get in the window. Little jerk. All right, we'll see if Pixie or Cheenie comes up in the next 30 seconds or so. Nyx brought me multiple presents while I was streaming, so I'm surprised she's still not here. Then we'll say goodbye. Scaredy Cats will wish everyone a good weekend. Okay, I don't think the Scaredy Cats are coming up, so... Oh, we're coming. I still have long hair, Spooky. I just have it tied back and I have crappy lighting. I haven't not cut my hair in 3 years, which is the longest I've ever gone.
Pixie is.
Oh, we got the Cheenie.
But I have a baby.
All right, baby boy. Ugh, you're gonna kill me. Nope, I do so much for you, so you have to do this for me. Say hi to everyone. Hi. All right, go run away, you little demon. Little hatchet and chains. Yeah, I should have brought the treat bag up here, but...
I think Pixie's under the bed.
Pixie probably is, but anyways, that's all I've got. 6 billion. Go watch my video about all the other stuff coming to HHN 34. That's totally real. Link is in the comments. HHN trivia videos, if you want to nerd out like me, watch them. I have a lot of fun doing them, and just thanks for supporting everyone. I will see you guys next time, and I'll plan another exciting stream. We'll get back to playing games. I just need to finish this freaking countdown first. So have a good night, everyone.